to order. Charlie, would you lead us, please? This is our tradition.
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, thank you. Public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum? Is there anyone who wishes to address the board in public forum on any item on the agenda? Hearing none, we move on to item 3, and that's to approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the May 17th, 2021 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Lou. Second.
Second.
I do have one quick comment though before
Sure.
we vote. I did join the meeting late because I had technical difficulties. It's a little trend here. And, but I was present for most of the votes. I think that I voted on everything except the minutes.
Okay,
And I voted the same as everyone else.
Got it.
So
you got that, Tracy?
Thank you. Sorry for
No, no. Okay, anybody have any comments, questions, changes, suggestions, suggested changes, or on the minutes? Hearing none, call the question. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
the. Aye.
Selectman Hoy Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
and Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Item 4, Finance Director Mary Jane Malavasi, discuss and take possible action on resolution delegating authority to the first Selectman and Finance Director to authorize terms and conditions of bonds, notes, and temporary notes for items approved at the April 20th, 2021 referendum. Mary Jane, just a quick background before we make a motion.
This is our standard resolution that we approve after a successful referendum vote on bond authorizations. This would now allow the finance director and the first selectman to move forward with whatever actual bond sales we would need to cover these costs.
Excellent. All right. Is there a motion for same?
So moved.
Nope. Second.
Sue first and Charlie on the second. Thank you. Any further discussion?
Doesn't this need signatures, or is it just the resolution or votes enough?
Resolution
vote.
votes enough. Thank you for that question, Lou. All right, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries.
Thank
Item
you.
5, Board of Ed Director of Operations and Facilities Cliff Gurnham, 5.1 is to discuss and take possible action on a recommendation of the Standing Building Committee to award materials for the replacement of doors and locks at Baldwin. Good morning, Cliff. Want to expound on that a little bit?
Sure. So this is our next school that we're going through. As you know, we've done several already. Calvin Lee, Melissa Jones, Guilford Lakes have all been done. We're now moving on to Baldwin, and then Cox will be coming shortly. This is the replacement of all the classroom and hallway doors, along with the locking mechanisms. So we're upgrading the doors and the locking mechanisms to allow teachers and staff to quickly and easily be able to lock the doors from the inside, and also have immediate feedback that those doors are in the locked position. So we're proceeding with, again, doing this throughout the district. In this case, we are going through the easy IQC construction bid, as we did with the last couple of projects, the door and lock projects. There is a new contractor that we're looking to award to because they had gone back out through that bid process, and they have a new, lowest apparent bidder. So we reviewed the scope with that new contractor. We also reviewed the scope and prices with the Standing Building Committee, and the Standing Building Committee has recommended moving forward awarding the work to BMP Construction, who's the new contractor for the EasyIQC program, the Gordian program, in the amount of $103,747.31. And this is going to be coming through a bid referendum from 1718 that still has about 600,000 in that bid, in that bond, sorry.
Good. Thank you, Cliff. Is there a motion to approve the award to BMP Construction?
Bobby missed it.
Pardon me? Tom, we can hear you, Tom. Is there a motion?
Just gonna come pick him up. All
Tom
right, so-
Fillion, please mute your computer if you're on the line. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Okay.
I'll make the motion, Matt.
All right,
I'll
thank you.
second
In a
it.
second.
Second.
Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Cliff, 5.2 is consider take possible action on a recommendation to award bid number 13-202 Cox HVAC upgrade project.
Yes, so similar to, again, the Baldwin project and the Melissa Jones HVAC projects, we're moving forward with the total replacement of the heating and cooling system at Cox Elementary School. We had 3 bidders submit bids on this project. We performed a scope review with the lowest bidder. There were no concerns regarding the scope of the project. There are some concerns with lead times and the schedule. We're pretty certain that this project will push into the school year. So we have made the necessary arrangements so that the contractor, if so, will work the second shift around the staff and students and get the work done on second shift without interrupting school. So that was a plus. The Standing Building Committee has reviewed both the bids and the recommendations from the engineers and has recommended moving forward, awarding the bid to Save More Heating and Cooling. Save More Heating and Cooling is the contractor that just finished the Baldwin project and the Melissa Jones project from last year. So we do feel comfortable awarding to them. They have the expertise and knowledge to do this project and do a good job. So we're looking for the award for $1,441,300. That includes the alternate number 1 for $12,300 for the duct cleaning throughout the school. And this is going to be funded through a bond from 2019, 2020 that still has 2.3 million in that bond referendum. So.
Thank you, Cliff. Is there a motion to approve the award to Save More Cooling and Heating in the amount of $1,441,300 for the HVAC?
I'll make the motion.
Sue's made the motion and a second.
Second.
Charlie, thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Yeah, Cliff, since we're essentially doomed to ask the same questions year after year on the similar topics, I presume this will be aggressively pursued over the summer and everything's going to be ready, barring incredibly unforeseen circumstances, by the start of school?
There is no guarantee that it'll be done prior to the start of school. If it's not, we will take necessary actions like we have at Baldwin and Melissa Jones to supply auxiliary heating and cooling as needed. The real restraint here is lead times for equipment are all over the place. So we're trying to get this awarded and get everything ordered as soon as possible so that we can get the equipment in. And that's going to be the major factor determining when the project gets completed, is when we can get all the equipment in. So no, it will not be done before school. We're pretty certain it's going to run into the school year, but as needed, similar to Baldwin, we will pump in fresh cool or heat, air as needed. So.
Okay.
Any other
They're
questions?
standard questions for a reason. Good, thanks.
Yep.
Any others?
Is that when you say pump in, heating or cooling, it's necessary. Is that part of the bid? If that, assuming it does bid, I mean, there's no way that you're going to get equipment in and installed $1 million contract by September at this point. So is that calculated in the bid, that extra cost of heating and cooling in those early fall months?
So we do not calculate it or put it in the bid because it's a little bit of an uncertain item.
That's
Plus,
my
if we
point,
put it
yeah.
into the bid, then there's a markup on it versus us going directly to the company itself and bringing them in to provide that cooling and heating. So we do it
So
directly.
this is literally equipment we hire, a contract, it's some portable type equipment that.
Correct. So in the
Approximately
past,
what
we've
kind
used,
of dollars are we talking, let's say for a month?
it's approximately around $20,000 a month to run a piece
So
of
it could
equipment
be,
that would probably.
$60,000 or $100,000 for 3 or 4 months.
It could be. Normally, it's mostly September. That's the big month of.
You really think we'll be able to get equipment in and build a $1 million system in 3 months?
Yes, because again, it's a 1-for-1 replacement. So the install isn't that complicated. You're simply taking one
Okay,
piece
so
out
we're
and putting
plugging
one
it
piece
into
back.
okay.
And we're not replacing all the ductwork, which is really the time-consuming
Okay.
piece.
All right.
So
It's almost like a plug and play type situation.
absolutely, and that's why we can do this. Yep, and
It makes some sense. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
sure.
Any other questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Item 5.3, discuss and take possible action to award bid number 14-02021, and that's the Lakes HVAC Upgrades Project. Cliff?
So much like the Cox project, we're replacing the complete HVAC system at Guilford Lakes. This went out to bid and we received 3 bids for this project as well. We performed a scope review with the lowest bidder, which was Action Air. So it was a little bit of good news that it was a different vendor or contractor. There was no concerns, again, with the scope of the project. And we talked about in depth the schedule and what would happen if we ran into the school year, because we are anticipating some overlap with the construction and the start of the school year. So this contractor also stated that they would move to the second shift as necessary with no additional cost within their proposed bid amount. So based upon that, the Standing Building Committee and the engineering firm recommended moving forward with Action Air in the amount of $1,388,244. This includes the alternate to, again, clean all the ductwork within the school for $30,970. And this is coming out of bid referendum from 2021 that has $2.4 million approximately still in that for this project.
Thank you, Cliff. Is there a motion to approve the award of the HVAC replacement project to Action Air Systems in the amount of $1,388,244?
So moved.
Thank you,
A
Sandy.
second.
Second, Lou, thank you. Any further questions? I would assume the same questions as the last project, so
Well, that was a
you don't
general.
have to repeat it. Let me try anything further? Any comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Cliff, 5.4, discuss and take possible action to award bid number 11-2021 Jones Elevator Replacement. Floor is yours again.
Thank you. So in this project, we're looking at the complete replacement of the Melissa Jones elevator. We went out to bid. We received 5 bids for this project. We did a scope review with the apparent low bidder, which was J.A. Rosa Construction. We did a secondary scope review actually on site, looking at how we could do this project during school hours, because the notification we're getting on lead times for the new elevator is up to 26 weeks, give or take. So most likely the work would have to be done actually during the school year. I spoke with the superintendent and the principal. We came up with a schedule that would work for both the staff and students and the people in the school that we feel comfortable with. The contractor provided us with their means and methods on how they get the project done to ensure that the staff and students were going to be protected from any construction and there would be no disruption to them during the school day as this project was done. So after that thorough review and the approval from the superintendent and the principal to move forward, again, the construction will probably be around October by the time we get this project up and running due to the delivery times. But we're looking for approval to move forward with the award of the bid to J.A. Rosa Construction in the amount of $307,650. There were no alternates for this project, and it's going through a bid that was funded in 2021 that has approximately $400,000 for the project.
Thank you, Cliff. Is there a motion to approve the award to J.A. Rosa Construction for the amount of $307,650?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Any further questions or comments? Cliff, I had one, and that relates to what do we do for ADA requirements while an elevator is being worked on in the middle of a school year?
Yep. So the elevator isn't really used for staff and students. It's mainly, obviously, we had ADA person or somebody that was on crutches. So we evaluated presently, any of those concerns. We have the flexibility of moving some classes around. So if we have somebody that has any handicap needs or concerns, we have the capability of moving class, any classes that are on the second floor down to the first floor to accommodate, that person. So all the other areas of the school are accessible by either a ramp or it's actually on the main floor. So we've evaluated and looked at that to make sure that we can accommodate anybody with any needs.
Thank you, Cliff. Any other comments or questions? No, hearing none. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Cliff, thank you very much. And it's time to get to work on a couple of projects, huh?
That's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Item 6, Public Works Director Tom Fillion, and 6.1 is discuss and take possible action on repair for the Public Works post lift. Tom, good morning, and give us a
Good
little
morning.
background. I know you provided us with a little bit of a write-up, but go ahead.
Okay. Last winter, we had a failure in our post lift. We actually had a 10-wheeler on top of it and it dropped 2 feet with nobody underneath, thank God. And what happened is the sheaths that hook into a slot there's wear in that area. So one of them, it bypassed and racked our post lift. So we actually have 2 twisted columns on it, and then those wear parts. And then we also, when we looked at it, where the electrical switch was, it's not in a good spot because it doesn't fully position itself where it's needed. So it's a safety issue. So we had Ray Juergens come take a look at it, and because of COVID, they held off quite a bit before they gave us a proposal on it. The proposal is for $14,799. That would be to fix the posts, the cables, the sheaves in it, and the electrical part. So we were looking at, we have enough money in building maintenance to take care of that. So I'm just asking that we are able to use that account to take care of this. Ray Juergens is really the sole source in Connecticut for taking care of something like this.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom. Is there a motion to waive the bid requirement and award this to Ray Juergen for the repair of that post lift in the amount of $14,799?
I'll move it, but I do have some questions.
Good.
I'll second,
Second.
but I have some questions too.
Yep, Charlie, let's start with you.
How much is a new one?
40.
Oh, it's got to be over 40,000, yeah.
So we're paying $15,000 to repair a how old of a unit?
That's since 91.
So
So
we got a 30-year-old unit that we're paying $15,000 for, and a new one would be 40.
we're figuring around 40, yeah, somewhere around that.
I mean,
I was gonna-
I'm thinking parts availability and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, the 30-year-old unit is, you know, that's pretty, I mean, you wouldn't, you know, we replaced all the trucks because they were 20 or 30 years old. So, I mean, I don't like spending money, but it seems to me we're close to half the price of a new one for a 30-year-old machine.
Charlie, you bring up a good point. Tom, you and I had a brief conversation on this last week. Refresh my memory. If we were to put in a new one, would that be able to be moved to a new public works facility?
My question.
I would say it would be harder to move that because it's a fixed post and, setup. It's actually drilled into the footings that are already in the ground there. So not saying that it couldn't be moved, but it would be more difficult to move it. And we are waiting on, trying to get some more of those mobile lifts. So, that may be something for the future too, with the mobile lifts.
Will the mobile lifts effectively, say we did an additional mobile lift, would that do the job of what this 30-year-old machine was doing?
The location right now that we actually have two post lifts in here, one for the smaller vehicles. It takes up, it's basically in that spot there. So that spot would be unused.
So if this defective machine was removed and we had an additional portable machine that we could almost permanently leave in that spot, and that would be able to go to any new facility if that were to come to pass, I don't know. I mean, can that be explored? Would it make some sense? Or, better than I don't want to micromanage, but I'm wondering.
Those are some
saying
of the
they couldn't.
same questions I had too. Yeah.
Is that the same question?
Yeah. Well, I had one other and now it's kind of left to my mind, but how long is the life of one of these things? You've had it for 30 years. So if we repair it for 15,000, we're effectively going to leave it behind if we move in the next 5 years. Is that correct?
I would say yes. But again, that's 5 years from now.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the lesser of the evils here. I mean, we're not set up yet with the mobile lifts. We'd have to get mobile, and mobile lifts, you have to have 4 mobile lifts to do, like, let's say a standard size truck, like a 6-wheeler. If we go 10-wheeler, you need 6 mobile lifts. So that would be, we're talking over $40,000 that way.
Tom, you say in order to do the same work that this one does, you'd need 6 mobile lifts?
For a 10-wheeler, yes.
For a
Six
10-wheeler.
mobile lifts.
Is that more complicated and potentially more of a safety issue with multiple lifts being coordinated at the same time?
Yes and no. I mean, there's great capability with these lifts, that the mobile lifts, they can hold 10,000 pounds. So, I mean, again, it's a matter, I look at this as a matter of timing. I don't have anybody underneath that lift at this point. They can work on it where we're working outside for tires or brake work like that, but not underneath. because we don't trust that lift until it's fixed. So that's about where we're at, so.
A question, Tom. After the $15,000 repair, are you confident that it is safe?
Yes, they said that it would be safe after that repair. Everything that's needed to bring it up to snuff is gonna be done.
What about parts availability going forward?
At this point, they do have the parts, because it's more or less like it's cables and it's sheaves that are used, and then the posts themselves, along with the electrical power.
Are the new lifts pretty much the same engineering? I mean, there hasn't been any revolutionary new design in the past 30 years. They're still using cables and sheaves and things like that. I mean, that's still the way these things are made.
I'm sure that there is hydraulic, I'm sure, but then that comes with its own other issues. So again, that was not looked into.
Any further questions? Tom?
I
have
assume the
one,
commission has looked into this.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Same mind.
Yeah. As the
No, we
commission
didn't have the
coordinates-
commission look into, because this came up when we finally did get, I'm pushing this so we could fit it in this year. We just got the proposal from Ray Jerkins, so that's why that wasn't brought up for the commission.
All right,
Are you-
Tom, when is your next commission meeting?
Thursday,
Would
It'll
folks
be this
feel more
Thursday.
comfortable, would folks feel more comfortable having the commission weigh in and then approve this at our next June meeting?
I don't even have a problem with approving this now with the condition that the questions that we raised are raised at the commission, and if the commission makes a decision, I have no problem with passing this with the condition that the commission has a chance to explore it and vet it.
That
So
sound-
either way.
That sounds like a friendly amendment to your motion, Sue. Is that one you'd be willing to accept?
I don't think I even made the motion.
Oh, I thought you made it. Who made the motion? Tracy?
I think I did for discussion.
Okay, yes, you
Yeah, you
did. Tracy.
did.
So
We had
that's
a
your
couple
motion.
questions.
So I will modify it that I would vote to approve it on the condition that the Public Works Commission has a chance to review our questions and any other questions that they come up with. And if they approve it, go ahead. If not, we'll consider any decision that they make.
Sounds good. Is there a second on that?
I had seconded.
Seconded? Thank you.
Yes.
Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, can I just point out a couple of
Sure.
sort of assumed points in all this discussion, which is, it goes back to something we discussed last month. I mean, this is, has not gone out the traditional bidding. It seems to me there's two reasons. One, as Tom mentioned, it's a sole source contractor. I mean, these are the people that handle this equipment, and that's the entire list. And two, there's obviously some urgency. It sounds like this is the piece of equipment that's necessary to manage the big trucks, and without it, we're at a standstill. Is that fair? If something goes wrong?
right?
And
Okay,
and I would add to that, it's not necessarily something goes wrong. It's routine maintenance, right, Tom?
Yeah, that's used all the time.
Okay. Lou, you have other questions?
No, that's it. Other than I should point out that we're gonna have to get some better Wi-Fi service down at Public Works. It sounds like every
I
week we
know.
have a problem.
I know. We'll have Tony on that relatively soon. Hey. All right. If there are no further questions or comments, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Thank you, Tom. Item 6.2, consider and take possible action to purchase a pickup truck off of state contract number 19 PSX 0161. Tom?
Okay, that's GU 23. Right now, the truck has it's really worn out, has brake line issues and everything like that. It's been pulled off the road. So we're trying to recover that and get a new Chevy 3500 pickup, 1 ton. That's a 1 ton that would have a flatbed on it and a lift gate attachment to it. So it'd be more usable for the road use for mechanics when they have to go out and make road repairs. We'd also like to stay within, not exceed the $50,000 allotment to add tight toolboxes, weather tight toolboxes, extended lights on it, and an electric crane hoist for tires. Cost of the truck itself with the lift gate and the flatbed is $41,642.20. So the rest of the money, we wouldn't exceed the 50,000, would be to put some of these other amendments on it to make it more usable for our crew. That was approved by the Public Works Commission.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the purchase of the Chevrolet 3500 pickup with a flatbed and lift gate at a cost of $41,642.20 with the ability to add the aforementioned features not to exceed $50,000 in total? Is there a motion?
But I do have some questions.
Yep. Second?
I'll second.
Second. So Charlie?
I'm sorry, Tom, I missed the age of the truck and how many miles on the existing one.
Okay, there's a 2006, that was John Volpe's truck when he had it, when he bought it new, for him to drive around with it, that pickup. I'm not sure on the miles. I'm sure there's quite a few miles on it. Probably around 80,000 miles, I'm figuring. The bottom line is though, with all the salt and everything like that, the whole bottom frame is corroded on this truck
Okay, I just
here.
wanted to get a feel for what we can expect. I mean, we're talking approximately 15 years on the lifespan of something like this. Okay.
Yeah,
Mary
no,
Jane,
I
funding
hear
source
you.
for this, if you wouldn't mind? And you're muted. Mary Jane? You're muted. Perhaps, there you go.
I'm so sorry, had to run to the ladies' room. What did I miss? I'm so sorry.
The purchase of Tom's, the pickup truck for Public Works, the funding source for that, was that out of capital?
This year's capital, yes.
This year's capital?
Yes.
Thank you. Anything further? If hearing nothing further, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
Selectman Haverda?
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner?
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff?
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. And we'll have Tony down there looking at that Wi-Fi pretty soon.
Okay, yeah.
For the new guy.
Take care.
All right. Item 7, discussion and possible enactment of an ordinance providing property tax relief for affordable housing land use. We will not be enacting an ordinance today, but we'll be talking about the discussion to do potentially do so. This was brought to my attention by Chris Widmer, who, as you may recall, has been in front of us before with the Great Hill Cottage project with Green Planet. And Chris brought this item around tax credits for affordable housing projects. So Chris, the floor is yours. If you would give us a little summation here. The documentation you provided to me has been shared with the balance of the board. So floor is yours, Chris.
Okay. Hold on. That's not good.
You have 2 devices there.
Hold on for 1 second. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can now.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, one of our newest board members is the director of planning, or was the director of planning and development for Madison. And I had a discussion with him about the sort of the tax situation for our project, but for other affordable housing projects in the town of Guilford. Madison has an ordinance that essentially, so what they do is an annual reassessment of projects that are deed restricted affordable housing projects. And they come up with a resale value, which is based on the formula that are contained in the deed restrictions. And then they convert that to an assessed value, and then the property is taxed based upon the mill rate at the time. So I spoke with Barbara at the assessor's office, and she said there was not currently anything on the books in Guilford that would allow for this type of arrangement, and suggested that I bring it to the Board of Selectmen for discussion. And that's essentially why I'm here today. I sent out a copy of Madison's ordinance, and also the state general statutes section, which would cover this type of ordinance. So what we're trying to do, since our project is home ownership, affordable home ownership, but is deed restricted for a 30-year period. What we're trying to do is find a way to accommodate the maintenance of an affordable dwelling situation, but also create at least some equity for the people that buy these homes. It's kind of a balancing act, and I think that essentially all we're proposing is that we come up with a fair and equitable formula that seems to work for the town, but also for the people buying the properties as well. So that is it. I sent to Tracy this morning a resale calculation example using the formulas that are contained in our draft restrictive covenant. Still sort of a work in progress, but it will be something along the lines of what I sent out. But I plugged in some numbers into that spreadsheet, so you got a sense of what the resale values will be, and we're kind of locking it into an annual appreciation that works for the folks that live there, which preserves the affordability of these units, and then what I'm proposing is that the taxes are based upon that. So I don't doubt that this will generate further discussion. So I'm just starting the dialogue at this point in time.
Wonderful. Chris, thank you for that background. Anybody have any specific questions of this program or this type of program? I know I will grant that folks may not have had time to fully digest this. And plus, Chris has just sent something along. Clearly, anything that supports affordable housing in our community is something that I think we need to take a serious look at. And Chris, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Our friends over in Madison obviously had contemplated this at some point much earlier than we are, obviously. It was passed, I think, in 2006. So again, this is predominantly for homeowners, right? Those who will own their own homes as opposed to those who own and rent, or how does that, am I right, or am I missing a point here?
Well, no, I for our project is certainly it is for home ownership. I suspect the Madison ordinance covers affordable housing in all forms, whether it's rental or otherwise. And I think that what we're trying to do is pay fair taxes on the properties that are developed as affordable housing. And I think that sort of, that's the formula that I think seems to work. And as a taxpayer in Guilford, I'm all for that. So it's not that that these developments should pay property taxes, but it should be at a fair and equitable and agreed upon rate. So
Right.
I think Madison does cover all affordable housing.
All affordable housing. Okay.
Yeah.
I would think we would want to do the same. It really isn't a distinction as long as they're deed restricted, and that's the foundational layer, right?
Mhm.
It has to be affordable housing deed restricted. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes. Needless to say that the information we got requires more than one read, especially with the formulas. I'm going to be interested to see your example, Chris. And, conceptually, I agree wholeheartedly. But I think we have to appreciate that enacting an ordinance is bigger than any individual project. And we got to look at it encompassing the entire town and not only existing properties, but the potential properties. Sandy, I assume you're going to weigh in from your committee's perspective on this.
Well, yeah, I know I'm like the resident expert, but I'm really not the resident expert. But I think in the readings that I've done and meetings that I've attended, the taxes have to be in balance with the reduced cost, but they do have to pay taxes. And I can't imagine that models like this don't already exist. Like at Madison being one, but I'm thinking about a development on Block Island for workforce housing. And I know that's one of the main deals, so that the people in those places are not being taxed at the rate that the people are paying for the houses that are not deed restricted. So I think it makes total sense, and
Yeah.
realize we can't do it today, but it seems to be like an integral part of this whole way to provide affordable workforce housing in our town.
Like I said, I agree wholeheartedly. Conceptually, I do think there are some more questions that have to be asked. I particularly like to know more about the situation of rent versus ownership and exactly how that works, whether the owners and landlords. I'd like to know more about that configuration, number one. Number two, is there any calculation of, again, I've read it once and I got through it and I said to myself, well, I got to go back and there's a lot of questions here. The one question that I think will always come up with the general population of taxpayers will be the numbers of bedrooms, which many times relates to the numbers of children in school. And I appreciate, what Sandy says, and conceptually, I completely agree that, we should find a way to enable, for lack of a better term, workplace situations so that the people can not only live and work in town, but live, work, and raise their children in town. I think that's got to be that question's got to be answers of numbers of children in town and what the tax abatements. It's got to be reflected in the taxes. I think that's a valid question. The other thing, then I have the renter landlord configuration. I'd like to see that expand a little bit, or at least I got to get my head wrapped around that, because I don't mind developers working hard to develop affordable housing, but I don't want that. I would be concerned about developers in how big of a projects and that type of thing. I mean, they're going to be driven by profit. There's no question about it. And I don't mind the tax implications being part of that calculation, as long as the rentees, the people occupying the property, benefit from that in relation to their rent, quote unquote. I don't have all the answers, you know, I just think there's some questions.
One thing about the developers, you know, you have to differentiate between a not-for-profit developer and a for-profit developer. And often the for-profit developers, when they do think about providing affordable housing / workforce housing, they do it in a larger project where 70% are going to be paying the market rate or be taxed at the market rate. And then the incentive for them is they maybe are able to build a denser project, or they offer the affordable, and then that tax is less. So I don't think a for-profit developer, I mean, I shouldn't say this because I don't know for sure, but I mean, most of the time it's a mixed use project that in that way. And then the not-for-profit developers, like the company that's working on the Woodruff, there's going to be taxes levied on that property as well. And everything there is going to be affordable. So the taxes paid will hopefully be in relation to the deed restricted value of those apartments. So anyway.
And Sandy, I think, I hope I'm speaking correctly, but to Charlie's question of benefits to the residents or the renters, all right, the benefit is in the implied rate for the rent, because
Correct.
it is an affordable housing complex or deed restricted property. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's the implied benefit to the interest. So there, and okay, just want to make sure. And thank you for pointing out the difference between NeighborWorks, New Horizons on the Woodruff property and Chris's project. Chris, you're talking about home ownership, and what percentage of the cottages are going to be deed restricted as affordable housing? Or are they all going to be?
They all are, yeah. So they're all deed restricted.
As opposed to some of the other for-profit developers who will traditionally come in and they'll set aside 10% or 20% or 5 units or whatever. In that case, it would only be those units, which to me would seem to be hard to try to calculate, right? If you got 10%, well, I guess smart people could figure that out. You know, if you got 10% of a 40 unit apartment complex, 10% of that is affordable, is deed restricted. I'm sure the formula that you sent or one just like it can figure out what percentage of the overall tax bill gets frozen at the sale or what do you call it? The sale rate, sale or market rate?
I think, Matt, that condominium development just past Friends and Company in Madison is one of those where some of the condominiums are market value and a certain percentage of them are at an affordable rate value. So because we had that at one point that developer came to our housing for economic development plan meeting and talked about it. So it can be done. And then Chris, I should know this and I apologize, but is your whole are you considered a for-profit developer or a not-for-profit developer?
No, we're nonprofit.
That's what, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you are in effect similar to NeighborWorks New Horizon.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So just quickly to Charlie's point about mixed use developments, where some of the units are deed restricted and some aren't. Often, if there's funding that comes from the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority or other state agencies, they have various recapture provisions that deed restrict the properties. So not only is there a deed restriction, but there's also a mechanism for the state to come in and enforce that. So, but I think that's a good point in terms of if you got a project that's half affordable and half market rate, then I think you should be taxed, as a blended kind of development. So.
So if I can jump in, Chris, you touch on one of the things I'm concerned about, because I echo much of what Charlie said. In concept, is a great idea and it's an important objective, and the idea is great. But there's two things that I think are important. One of which is sort of teasing out the law of unintended consequences, right? The last thing we would want is to have some sort of, I'll use the word expensive, but a Trojan horse type project come in that somehow is skiving off luxury properties and shoehorning their way into this ordinance. Okay, that would be critical to make sure we don't get have something like that happen. And it helps to have other towns, but I'd be interested in their experience. And also, it's obviously critical. This is the early stage, and this is step one in multiple steps, I suspect, for something like this, because I really would want to hear from those who would object in some way and why, and to those who support it, likewise, and why. So, I mean, I'd be very, very interested in the public hearings on this process to make sure everybody has a chance to be heard, and if it advances with some sort of community consensus.
And I think it's good that we have a particular project that we can kind of use as a, I'm not going to say working model, but a little bit like that. But we do have to keep in mind that an ordinance is bigger than any one project. So
Great.
Again, I conceptually, I think it's a great idea. I think we should get something on the books, but input from the other taxpayers and the understanding that it could potentially be a work in progress is important.
So, Sandy, as I sit here thinking about this and the expertise that exists on your committee, is this something that we could you could bring up at your committee with an overall recommendation on how we should consider this? I'd be happy to give you access to staff, our assessor's office, finance office, and to legal if need be, because it seems as if you folks are closest to this affordable housing initiative, and a lot of us would have to come up to speed in order to get to the point where you guys are already there. So would you be willing to take this back to your committee to see?
Yes, but I mean, our committee is a group of volunteers that bring certain talents. But again, this would go back to legal and maybe
Absolutely.
to talk to some people like on the state level, either from the DOH or the Partnership for Strong Communities, the David Fink organization. So yeah, we can begin the conversation, but I know it's going to go beyond the scope of our committee. But yes, I'll do.
And again, we will make resources available as necessary.
Okay.
I'm sure Pete's just waiting to draft an ordinance along these lines. And to both Lou and Charlie's point, to both Lou and Charlie's point, this as an ordinance would have a public hearing. So I guess the question I have of you is, you think we need to do something in advance of the public hearing, have a public hearing on just this topic and this issue prior to the public hearing on a formal ordinance?
I don't think that I don't think we're prepared at this point to have a public hearing per se on it. I think, maybe you might want to, get it out there that we're considering it and that type of thing and get some reaction. But I'd like to see what other communities besides just Madison are doing in the state, that the Sandy's Point DOH might have some input and that type of thing. I think we need a little more info. I want to thank Chris for bringing this forward at this point in time, and I do think it's something we should pursue. But I think we got to get ourselves a little bit more up to speed as far as enacting an ordinance, because like I said, it's bigger than any one project, but.
Agreed. And Charlie, to your point, My assumption is that this will start to be socialized relatively quickly. We have 2 reporters on the call, that at least 2 reporters or maybe more.
That's how you get it started rather than
Yeah.
a public hearing at this point, so. Maybe a little bit more research from Sandy's committee and that type of thing.
But when the time comes, I do see some sort of an educational forum
Yeah.
before the actual hearing for the ordinance.
Thanks, Sue. That's exactly right.
That's the model that we followed with the Woodruff property. We had 2 or 3 educational presentations, I believe, at the library, which were
Yeah.
not any kind of a legal thing. It was just providing information to the public.
Right, but that was more focused on a specific project, and
Yeah.
this will bring in public opinion really about the whole concept of affordable housing.
Yeah.
And Sandy, I just want to offer any help I can give you and your committee. I'm
Yeah,
open.
you're on my list, Chris.
Okay.
Right below Peter Barrett's name.
Don't miss any meetings, Chris.
Before we let Chris go, I wonder if we could have a quick update on how things are going.
Sure, yeah. We are moving along, not as fast as I want, but then again, nothing happens as fast as I want. The first 2 houses are they're basically up. They're enclosed. We have windows, doors, etc. in. We're working on the interiors of those first 2 houses. We're looking to have those done, completed, and ready for occupancy by the end of July, which gives us a sort of a. So the first 2 are really kind of a testing laboratory, if you will, of these construction methods that are tested, but not locally. And to sort of see how it all comes together. So we had informational sessions online to well attended. We had over 30 people attend these informational sessions. And as a result of that, we received 12 completed applications for the project. And the project, as we have pursued it, is 10, will be 10 ultimately. So once these first 2 are done, are completed and sold, then we'll focus on the balance of the units toward the rear of the property, which are 8 more. And so that's kind of where we are, and it's really worked out quite well. I'm very pleased with the units themselves, and I invite any and all to come and take a look. Just come on by anytime you want. We're going to be putting our sign up, which is a little behind, but it's our construction sign that lists the town of Guilford and other folks who've contributed. So that should go up this week sometime. Anyhow, you'll see the sign and you'll know exactly where we are. So,
Chris, thank you for that update. And I was fortunate enough to participate in those informational sessions, at least one of them, the informational sessions, where it was my job to sell Guilford. Pretty easy task, but the questions and just the presentations, the overall presentation, not mine, were very well done, very professionally done. And I'm glad to hear that you have more applicants than, well, it's not necessarily a good thing, but it's better to have more applicants than units than less applicants than units available. So congratulations to you. I'm hoping all 12 of those folks qualify, because that's one of the challenges, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I drive past it every day and it looks terrific. I'm not proud of it because I had nothing to do with it, but I feel proud that we have it. It looks great.
Excellent. Chris, thank you very much for bringing this to our attention and for your time this morning and your continued engagement and offer for continued engagement as we try to work through this process.
Right. Thank you.
Have a great day. Okay, item 8. Consider and take possible action to set a public hearing date for July 6th, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. at the Guilford Town Hall via Zoom to receive public comment on ordinances to amend the code of the town of Guilford, Chapter 208 noise, Chapter 187-4 Historic District Commission, and Chapter 247 taxation. Pete, would you want to just give us a thumbnail on what we're changing on each of these? I'll start with the first one, which is the noise application. I had received correspondence from an individual who had to endure a much longer than what she thought needed to be construction project adjacent to her home that went into late hours of the night, weekends, et cetera. So I think I brought this to everybody's attention a couple of months ago. Pete and I have gone back and forth on the ordinance. We have since discovered that while certainly we can offer a change to the ordinance where we restrict the hours, and one thing needs to be made clear, even though we are shrinking the potential, we're proposing shrinking the possible hours, a developer or a homeowner has a right to appeal for specific variation, not variation, but exemption from it for just cause. If they've got a crew there that's about to leave and they want to finish up and they go an hour over, or they anticipate going an hour over, there's an exemption process. So Pete, I'll hand it back to you.
See, am I on? Yeah, you can
Yeah.
hear me. Yeah, just to say, we also need deep approval for a noise ordinance, but for an amendment to our noise ordinance, we've already made contact with Paul Kritzler, an environmental analyst in their department. Every indication is this would likely be approved, though, you know, obviously I can't guarantee that. We may actually, before you hear this one way or the other, have a pre-approval letter, in fact. So I just wanted to alert you to that. On the Historic District Commission, Matt had received some correspondence from their chairperson. They were, I think, concerned about having some difficulty in meeting the requirements of the current ordinance with respect to their membership. So this change was at their suggestion. And we also tweaked it a little bit from their suggestion. When we looked at it, their current ordinance was, I'm trying to recall, I think was requiring ownership or, ownership. And really what is required is residence within the district. I think I got that right.
Yep.
So at any rate, we can, you know, talk more about that, but we sent it back to the district commission with our drafted changes, and they approved that and are happy with the proposed changes. So that'll be before you, I'm sure, probably their chairman, if not other members, may speak in support of that. And then the last one was, and Matt, I might just pitch this to you. This is more or less a change to with respect to, you know, sustainable type energy tax advantages to that. Really an expression of what we're trying to accomplish with the current ordinance. And I think what it would do is probably allow, under appropriate circumstances, a little expansion of that in the future if we wanted to.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, this came about in discussions related to our pursuing what's called Soul Smart designation. It's a national movement to promote the use of solar energy, reduction of dependence on fossil fuel technologies. And this is similar to the sustainable CT certification that we had gotten, but this goes a little bit deeper because it also requires us to focus more closely on the building and permitting process for solar, making it easier and making it a separate entity. It's sort of buried into our building codes, but this is clearly identifying and making it easier for residents to participate in solar. So one of the things that they had asked for was a declared statement somewhere in our ordinance that the community supports the development of solar, the deployment rather, of solar energy systems. This language will allow for us to submit our preliminary application to Soul Smart for that designation. I should mention that this is an initiative that was brought to our attention through our Council of Governments. And there are a couple of other communities. I think there are 2 communities in our region who have Soul Smart designation. And we would be the third if this were to come to fruition. So that's what this ordinance is designed to do, is to support our promotion of solar technology. Any questions? No? Good. All right, thank you. Is there a motion to set the public hearing date for July 6th, 2021 to receive comment on the 3 ordinances we've just covered?
I'll make a motion to set that date.
And
Second.
Sandy, second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye.
Matt, can I just ask, would this meeting be live? Do we know yet?
Right now, it's being scheduled as Zoom. We can change that based on the conversation we're going to have under old business. Right now, the motion as I read it originally was via Zoom.
Okay, good. Thank you. Understand.
All right. Item 9, discuss and take possible action to set a public hearing date of June 21, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. at the Guilford Town Hall via Zoom to receive and consider programs to be included in the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act program. As you may recall, this is something we do on an annual basis where we endorse the applications of several nonprofits for statewide funding. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Sue.
Second.
And second, Sandy. Any further conversation or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Item 10,
Matt,
appointments and
we keep asking these procedure questions on these things. So that is the 21st, that's our regular meeting,
right.
right? And so, and we're just gonna start off with an 8:30 public meeting?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
All right. Item 10, appointments and resignations. 10.1 is to act on a reappointment of Charles Haverda of the South Central Regional Water District Representative Policy Board for a term to begin July 1, 2021 and expire June 30th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
And I'd like to second it. Charlie, we suspect that you are willing to continue to serve in this capacity, and thank you for doing so.
Yes, very much. Thank you.
All right. Are there any further comments or questions? Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici?
Aye.
I think I know the answer. Selectman Haverda?
Yeah, I think I have to recuse myself, don't I?
That's the false Catholic modesty. You can vote for yourself.
All right, you said so.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also, Selectwoman Ruoff, sorry, Sandy.
Aye. Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Item 11, request for use of town property. 11.1, act on a request from the Guilford Lions Club to use the green June 14th, 2021 for its annual Flag Day ceremony. I'd like to make that motion and invite my fellow members of the board to participate. It's going to be at noontime, I think. I believe it was. It has been in the past.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. I've made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. 11.2, act on a request for the country school to place a sign on the green advertising its virtual open house taking place June 29, 2021. The sign placement 6:15 to 6:29. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff.
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. 11.3, act on a request from St. George and the Knights of Columbus to place a sign on the green advertising its carnival taking place August 1 to 14, 2021. Sign placement 8/1 to 8/14. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that. Is there anything, any further questions or comments? Hearing none, let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. 11.4, act on a request from the Guilford project graduation to place a graduation banner on the green. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Before we move on, for those who may not be aware, the graduation is going to take place on the green again this year. And they've also modified it thanks to the cooperation with Guilford PD, that they're going to also do the parade that they did last year. It'd be a little bit different. They're not going to go to the parade grounds. They'll be coming down from the high school and going into the back parking lot behind St. George. So maybe COVID initiated a new tradition in this community.
Mhm.
So could be something that, 50 years from now, somebody's saying, well, they're all in electric vehicles or in hovercrafts or something, coming down from the high school, they'll say, how did this start? And it would make, and they'll say, well, that was COVID related. But nonetheless, and we've got a motion in a second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. Item 12, the committee reports. Sandy, looks like we may be getting a committee report out of you in the next
Oh,
couple
yeah,
of months.
I'll have it in 2 weeks. No, yes, we will have, it, not in 2 weeks.
Thank you. And Lou, nothing from you at this point?
Not at the moment. Couple developments, but.
Okay, correspondence. Anybody have anything under correspondence? Hearing none. Old business. I did have one piece. I think I emailed it to everybody on Friday, and that was as a result of the conversation we had a little earlier today too on bid waivers. Thank you to Karen for pulling together through the minutes the 13 or so bid waivers that we actually have accommodated in this fiscal year. And I think all but 2 of them were state bid contracts. So the other 2 were considered sole source. So it wasn't quite as extensive as we thought. However, Pete and I have had some conversations. We are going to take a further look. We had a couple other ordinances to work on here, but we're going to take a further look at changing some of the bid threshold numbers. That will require some research from some of our through CCM for some of our peer towns and see where they are with some of these things. So, all right.
Not only the thresholds, Matt, isn't it? I mean, I wonder if we should just consider taking things off of the state bid list to not be an exception. I mean, is there a way to change our policies and procedures so that if it is off the state bid list, it doesn't qualify as an exception anymore?
Yep, that could well be.
I mean, dude, we would still, I think we might still want to approve it in some way, but I don't know. Take a look at it when you're talking to Pete about it.
Yeah, and I think it makes it clear that we took a public action to utilize the state bid in case someone challenges the fact that we did not go out to bid on it by taking a proactive measure. I don't know. We'll leave that to Pete
All right.
to try to figure out. So
I mean, to Susan's point, it didn't turn out to be quite as extensive, and that might be simply because we only hear about those.
right.
Whatever, take a look at it. So that's good. I appreciate the research.
Thank you. All right. Any other old business? I have one further one, and that is, again, my apologies for being less than timely in talking about moving this meeting from a hybrid to but it turns out I have company, so it worked out in my favor. So I think we are prepared now to move to hybrid meetings for this board, owing to the fact, a couple of things. One, we've got the technology in our meeting room. And secondly, our meeting room is a little small. So hosting a significant number of folks with appropriate social distancing. And I am going to be working with Sonia to figure out how many people we can fit in that room under the guidelines. Now, from what I understand, again, I may be laboring under a misconception, is that if all are fully vaccinated, there really aren't any social distancing challenges. Okay, it's sort of like being at a football game or a basketball game, an arena, or something along those lines. But nonetheless, Pete and I and Sonia will come up with some kind of calculation how many people we think can be in there. In my mind's eye, what I'm maybe suggesting is we would give the public an opportunity to sign up in advance to be in to participate. They would have to do that, I would say, no less than 4 days earlier, or 3 or 4 days. Yeah, probably the time we post the meeting, right? Because at some point we would have to say no to folks. And if they showed up to attend our meeting and we sent them away, we have denied them the opportunity to participate where they may have been able to via Zoom if they knew that they weren't going to be able to get in the room. And that was the piece that I did not have in place, and I apologize for today's meeting, which is why we went back to the fully Zoom meeting. So,
Matt, with 2 questions. I think it almost makes sense for the department heads to be able to remain in their offices because they might have more information there. It seems to work, whether it be, Cliff. I mean,
Yep.
Obviously, public work needs some work down there with the IT part, but it seems that the department heads might benefit from being able to remain in their offices.
I agree, Charlie. Particularly those that aren't located here in this building. Mitch and Mary Jane are pretty much regular attendees.
They'll have all their records and everything right
Yeah.
with them. But the other point I was going to make is potentially I think having public sign up is good, but it could be cumbersome. And I just wonder how difficult it would be to be able to open up the other conference room for people that showed up and they'd be able to Zoom from that room.
Yeah, we probably could. Yeah, that's a pretty good suggestion.
Just set up a laptop up there periodically to hook into a Zoom thing because, like the department heads or like Chris today, it does work.
Yep.
I think we've all become more and more accustomed to it.
That's a great idea, Charlie. So we'll figure out how many folks we could safely fit in there. Possibly add that.
I'm just saying, if somebody walked in, you had 2 or 3 walk in or something.
Right.
They could have access to a laptop. Whatever it's the mechanics. It's always in the details. So
Yeah. No, thank you, Charlie, for that suggestion. We'll work through that over the next couple week and a half. Anything further on old business? New business? Public forum. Anyone wishing to address the board in public forum, please, Tracy, how do you want to handle this? Raise their hand. The electronic raise the hand. I see there are an unusual number of members of the public who are here. And I have a suspicion as to why they might be here. But is there anyone who wishes to address the board in public forum? Please raise your hand electronically or bring your video up and indicate with raising your hand that you want to talk in that fashion. One more time. Is there anyone wishing to address the board? Oh, here we go. Hi, Kim. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kimberly Carbone. I'm actually from Fairfield, Connecticut, but I volunteer for Eunice Demond at Little Rascals. I just wanted to bring something to consideration about the ordinance 131.5, the feeding or sheltering of certain animals prohibited. Possibly proposing an amendment of some sort to this ordinance to allow licensed rehabilitators of RVS species to be able to temporarily house these species, before releasing them to the wild. Eunice does a great service for the town of Guilford and the entire state of Connecticut, taking in orphaned animals, and she vaccinates them, she takes care of them, and then she releases them close to where they were found. I guess that's really it.
Okay. Kim, thank you very much for your comments. As was discussed at the planning and zoning meeting last Wednesday, the ordinance did come up. Town council will be reviewing that ordinance for a couple of reasons. We will be taking a look at that ordinance. So thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay, well, I think that will close public forum. Item 17, discuss and take possible action on sick leave donation request for a member of the Guilford Employees Association. An executive session will be required. Mitch, who are we inviting in on this? Rob?
Yes, Rob McCool.
Okay. I would like to thank everyone else for participating, board members, and Rob McCool and Mitch, please stay on the line.
You don't have to go out and come back, right?
No, we're just gonna delete everybody who
You gotta
doesn't.
just make a motion to go into the executive session. You need
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah. Is there a motion to go into executive
So
session?
moved.
So moved.
Sue moved a second.
Second.
Try your minds, Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also. Go ahead and admit, you want to admit her?
Matt, I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Thank you. Is there a second? Let me try your minds, Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also aye. All right. It looks as if we have someone who just called into the office who wanted to make a public comment. And I think the individual is Kate Hewitt, has just shown up on the meeting. Kate, you need to unmute.
Hi, this is Kate. I'm sorry, I'm just dropping in because I saw something on I'm from CT Examiner newspaper.
Oh, okay.
And I saw on your agenda, and maybe I already missed it, but there was something about possible enactment of an ordinance providing property relief for affordable housing land use.
Kate, thank you. Normally, we do not do question and answer in public forum, but I will give you the benefit. Yes, this board is going to consider enacting an ordinance to provide additional tax relief for deed restricted affordable housing units. It was brought to our attention by Chris Widmer, a local developer who is actually engaged in an affordable housing project at this point. And I'd be happy to talk to you offline if need be. So, and I think the meeting has been recorded and will be made available, and my office can certainly direct you to how you would get access to same. So, and Kate, if you're interested in talking to me directly, 203-453-8015.
8015. Okay, thank you so much. We'll
You're
talk
quite-
offline. That's super. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Since we've concluded all the business at hand, entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, we got to vote on the,
Oh, we got to vote. That's right. I thought, that's right. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. We only voted to come out of executive session. Is there a motion to accommodate the request for vacation donation time for a GEA employee?
sick leave.
Sick
day.
time.
Sick time.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haverda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner.
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Now, wait a minute. Now, what about Mitch's other thing? Is it appropriate to go back in executive session if we put it on?
No.
Now we need,
Wait, could we add something to executive, Mitch? Is it required immediate action?
No, it's something I always want to bring to your attention. If you want to go back in executive session, add to the agenda a discussion about a grievance. I'd bring it to your attention.
But just, I mean, I got time if
Yeah.
anybody else.
I think if we can do it
I
legally.
need to leave
Okay.
no later than 10 after, so we can go in as long as we can accommodate it in that
All right.
time. frame.
Matt,
Okay.
the other woman who wanted to speak just logged into the meeting. She wanted to give the public comment that was a different person.
Okay,
Gotta do it at this point.
You stay where you are.
all right. JJ Murphy, I think, is the individual who has appeared on our screen. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address and your comments, please. JJ Murphy, at least your screen name, please identify yourself and your address and make your comments.
Here.
One more time. JJ Murphy. Please give your name and address and state your comments. All right, thank you. Public forum is once again closed.
Is
Is there a motion to go back into an executive session for discussion of a potential grievance?
So moved.
Second. Let me
Second.
try your mind. Selectman Federici,
aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. Mitch, you're the only one in. So JJ Murphy and Kate Hewitt, please take your leave of the meeting. I see JJ Murphy has gone,
Okay.
Kate Hewitt has gone. Trace will let you know. Well, you'll be. Lou,
Move to come out of executive session.
second.
So, second.
Let me try your minds. Selectman Federici,
Aye.
Selectman Haberda,
Aye.
Selectman Renner,
Aye.
Selectwoman Renner, Selectwoman Ruoff,
Aye.
Selectman Hoy is also an aye. That motion carries. There were no motions made, no action taken in this most recent executive session. And seeing no one else looking to address us, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, this is a non-debatable motion. Voice vote is fine. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Well done. Very efficient. Thank you.
Good meeting.
Good week, everyone.
Thanks for your hospitality.
My pleasure, huh?
Good to see you.